What's up guys, Nax Tech here, and I've had my iPad mini for about a week now, so I thought it's about time I do a full review on it. And let me start off with the look and feel. So when you first look at this device, I think it looks amazing. The really thin bezel on the left here makes it look great. Its thinness, it comes in at a 7.2 millimeters thick, and the weight comes in at 308 grams. And I've got to say, it feels light and it feels really thin. It feels easily holdable in one hand, no problem. It's very, very nicely designed from Apple, as you'd expect. And yeah, it's fantastic in that aspect. Now, in terms of screen and screen resolution, we've got a 7.9 inch screen here, so bigger than most tablets that are around in its kind of category. And in terms of the resolution, it's 1024 by 768 with a pixel density of 162. So that's not that high when it comes to normal Apple devices, and you will see in the rest of this review what I mean by that. In websites, sometimes it can look a little bit blurry. Under the hood, you've got an Apple A5 processor, which is the same processor they used in the iPad 2. And it's also the same processor they use in the iPod Touch 5G, except in that device, it's underclocked to 800 megahertz, whereas in this device, in the iPad 2, it is clocked at a gigahertz. And, you know, it performs well enough. It's not going to break any records in terms of benchmarks, but it's okay. If it plays all these games perfectly, I'll show you that a bit later on. It's got a front-facing 1.2 or 1.3 megapixel camera, I can't quite remember, and a 5 megapixel camera on the back that is capable of shooting 1080p. You can see also you can rotate it sideways and use it like that, so it is kind of nice. General UI fluidity, as you'd expect with iOS, is perfect. There's not much going on. Let's open a few apps here and test out this general speed. You can see I have the camera open, which I'll shut, and let's test it out. So you can see that's pretty quick there. You can see it kind of loaded up and it was a blank space, and then the stuff came about. It was there, so not too shabby. Photos as well, pretty quick on loading that. Calendar. You can see it's not slow by any means, but it's not going to be as fast as the Apple iPad 4 or say the iPhone 5. I haven't installed Google Maps on this yet. My battery's at 5%, and I'll tell you why it's at 5% a little bit later. Yeah, let's open iTunes. You can see a nice blank space as it loads. Apple's way of making you think that it doesn't lag or slow down. What's important is the transitions are nice and smooth all the time, and that is what you'd come to expect from an iOS device. The device is really, really nice. So yeah, let's go into the web browsing and see what it's like here. I think the last thing I did was run a browser mark, so let's just test out some normal websites. We'll go to theverge.com. It's actually been pretty quick, and this is what I mean by the screen pixel density. Right now, it just looks a little bit hazy to me, and it's not the brightness or anything like that. It is the pixel density. It looks just a little bit kind of like blurry, I suppose is the right way to put it. It's just not quite as sharp as, say, the Retina displays, and that's kind of obvious. But the lower display actually helps with the performance on games and stuff like that, because it's not pushing a high resolution display or anything like that. So yeah, let's actually load this up. The screen tint of the actual, like the color palette of the iPad mini is, like most devices on iOS, is a warmer color palette, which gives you really nice, rich colors. You can see here, all the colors look really, really rich. The loading speeds are very quick. In terms of tests, I've done loads of tests comparing it to the Nexus 7, and it does actually beat it in pretty much every test. So it is very quick and nice and fluid, as always we've come to expect from iOS devices. You can see here, if I zoom in, the colors are nice and vibrant, really pops off the screen. The only issue is, because it's not a Retina display, you do find yourself zooming in and out a lot more, a bit closer than maybe you normally would, due to the fact that it is a little bit blurry and a little bit pixelated from further out. I don't know how well that's coming through in the camera, but it is evident after my tests and usage. Let's load up another website here, guys. We'll load up Android Central. You can see the speed, it's nice and quick. I mean, I'm running off the Wi-Fi network because it's just a Wi-Fi only model, but it's nice and quick anyway. And yeah, again, the performance is great. We'll play this, why not? It plays eventually, maybe. Play. Okay, we're playing there, and the performance is still very good while playing a video. So yeah, guys, great performance on the browser. I'm not going to show you any benchmarks because I've done videos out the ass with benchmarks, so check them out if you want them. What I'm going to do now is check out to see if we've got any. Well, firstly, I'm going to check out the screen brightness and see how bright the tablet goes. So you can see at the moment I'm using it on this, it's better for my camera. If I turn it up to full brightness, you'll see the screen is very, very bright. Colors pop a little bit more on full brightness, but obviously you will cane your battery running at this brightness. But it does help with kind of the whites and stuff like that. Otherwise, sometimes the whites can look a little bit creamy, I guess. So on full brightness, the whites are fantastic, but other than that, the whites are a little warmer than I think they should be. So I'm just going to turn this. Actually, I'll leave that up, and what I'll do now is I'll show you my test for light bleeding. So I've got a black image here. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the light, and we'll see if there's any light bleeding on the tablet. I can't notice any. I don't know if you'll see any there. There is light coming in from the left from a window that I can't do much about. This isn't actually a perfectly black image, but I cannot see any noticeable light bleed around the side. So that is nice as well. We'll just turn the light back on there, and we'll turn the brightness down. Otherwise, I am going to run out of battery before I can show you everything I want to show you. I've been just really impressed with the iPad mini. You know, it is still an iOS device, so if you don't like iOS, you're not going to like it. But it does perform very well in a lot of stuff. And let me show you its gaming capability quickly, just on one game, because I'm not going to go through it. As I said, I've done a whole gaming comparison review if you want to check that out. Nova 3 is one of the more intense games on any platform. So let's see how it does. We'll continue because I've already kind of started. And take into account that, you know, it isn't running a really high resolution, and that does help with gaming performance. So yeah, keep that in mind. But I'm just going to say it out right now, I've been impressed with the gaming performance of this device. It's shocked me really how well it's done. I didn't think it would perform this well. You can see Nova 3 here running with all the effects. This is running the high effects. You can see all the particles, all the stuff flying around. And the performance, sometimes it does have some frame drops. You saw a little one there. But the general performance is very, very smooth. It's smoother than my Nexus 7 device, even though my Nexus 7 device doesn't have all the effects running, and you know that's coupled with the fact that my Nexus 7 is running a higher resolution and stuff like that. But you know, you'd rather have smooth gameplay and higher effects like this than running at a high resolution with everything off, you know what I mean? So I've been very impressed with the iPad mini. You can see there a bit of a frame drop there when stuff loads, but in general performance it's very, very, very good. So yeah. Like I said, if you want to see more gaming, you can check that out on my channel. Let's check out YouTube to see the general speed of the UI and video performance. I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll just type in HD here. See exactly how it looks. Oh, look, Sony Xperia Z. So I recently covered in a news article if you want to check it out. So the speaker's excellent as well. You can hear the speaker, and I've got to say it's very, very clear. Because of the 4:3 aspect ratio, you do get these black bars. That's just something you have to live with if you're going to go with an iPad, because they're all in 4:3 aspect ratio. It's not great for movies, but it is great for websites and gaming. Yeah, and if you've got the kind of black iPads, it actually helps with the black bars. If you've got the white ones, it kind of makes it look a lot more evident. So take that into account. In terms of camera quality, I do have two tests here, or two bits of images that I did take before doing this review. The first one is obviously this black image. Get off. All right, this is a picture I took, which, by the way, American Pie was on TV, and I took it on my TV, and I thought it was quite a funny shot, so I kept it. Yeah, the images is okay. I haven't used the front-facing camera at all, so I can't really say if it's any good, but a 1.2 megapixel camera, you know, how good is it going to be? It's going to be enough for FaceTime and stuff like that. But the rear facing camera is 5 megapixels and it takes decent enough shots for a tablet. You know, it is a tablet. People that hold up their tablets kind of look like retards anyway, so I wouldn't suggest doing it. Now, in terms of video recording, this is a shot I did of my garden. You can see again the aspect ratio, kind of annoying with the black bars. This is shot at 1080p, but obviously the screen is only at 768, so we're not getting the full definition of this video anyhow. We'll skip into it because I did some close-up shots. And it's decent enough again, guys. The iOS cameras have always been pretty decent. They use good sensors. It is pretty good. The images are nice and clear. The color saturation is pretty much perfect, just how you'd want it. Like I said, this display is a warmer display, so it does make it look pretty darn nice. I'll upload this to a proper YouTube and do it properly so it doesn't lose any of the quality and we can actually see the differences on a 1080p screen. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm sure there's loads of stuff I've missed out or you want to see. I'm not going to go through Siri because Siri's been done to death. You know, it does loads of stupid stuff. But the price point, I'll talk about the price point. This is the lowest model you can get, 16 gigabyte Wi-Fi, and it came in at £269. So it is by no means cheap. If you want the equivalent Nexus 7, it's £159. So a big difference in price, over £100 difference in price. So, and you kind of that's just because it's kind of Apple, you know, and stuff like that. But I've got to say I'm impressed with the iPad mini. It is a great device. Battery life, I just want to mention battery life. I can honestly say to you, I have never charged this device. I have been using it for all my tests solidly for a week. It came out the box at 90%. A week later, it is on 4%, and I have been using this daily. I promise you, I've been playing games on it for 30 minutes on ends and stuff like that. I've been doing benchmarks, web browsing comparisons, you know, gaming comparisons, all that stuff I've been doing, including this review, and it's just down to 4% now, so I am going to have to put it on charge soon. This battery life is incredible, I believe. I don't actually know specifically how many milliamp hours the battery is, but from 90% to 4% in a whole week with use, this thing is going to go on forever if you hardly use it. You know, if you just use it for web browsing, you're gonna be able to go 2 weeks with this. I mean, that's how good the battery life is here, guys. So yeah, really impressed by that, and well done, Apple. Other than that, you know, the general, you know, the user interface is iOS, so you get the obviously you get the iPad apps as well as the iPhone apps, which is kind of nice because you actually get the best of both worlds there. For some people, it is a little bit too pricey, and I can understand that. You know, I kind of wish they put it at the £200 mark rather than the £270 mark. It's just a little bit of a stretch in terms of what it can do in terms of its performance. I will just quickly run this benchmark here because it's quite an easy one to run, and I can talk to you while it's doing it. So this just tests the CPU and stuff like that. And, you know, if you're spending kind of £270, and by the way, if you want a 3G model, add £100 to that. So you're spending about £370 on it. You know, that sucks for what it is, kind of. You don't want to spend £350 on something that hasn't got Apple's best CPU or GPU in it and doesn't have a Retina display. I know all those things help towards battery life and performance, but, you know, a Retina display on the iPad 2 mini, I would just love it all over, literally, because this is all it's missing, really. If this had a Retina display and obviously a slightly more beefed up CPU to handle the extra pixels to make it run just as smooth as this is running, then you'd have the pretty much perfect 7.9-inch tablet. Let's wait up and see. This is about to finish. And it scores 761, which is pretty much identical to what the iPad 2 scored, which isn't a big shock considering it's got the exact same internals. We do only have 512 megabits of RAM in here, but it doesn't really matter because the way iOS multitasks is it doesn't really multitask. It kind of freezes the apps and it's fine. It will sort it all out for you. So yeah, that's pretty much my iPad mini review, guys. I'm pretty much in love with the device. I think it's excellent. It performs better in web browsing and gaming than my Nexus 7, which is a little bit disappointing, but that's just the way it is. I've been using this device for web browsing for a while now because I can one-hand it around the house and easily control it, and it's nice. It's nice. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all later.